Salutations, Skoob believer. Do you have a dream of becoming an entrepreneur, but don't know where to start or even what to do? Where can I gather information quickly about what's in my zone of genius? Don't worry, Skoob believers. I got you covered. Go to tuepodcast.net/AI prompt and check out an amazing set of AI prompts that will give you ideas, information, and articles to help you get across that start line. Once again, go to tuepodcast.net/AI prompt to get you started now. Good luck, Skoob believer. Hello there, Skoob believer. Hey, if you're anything like me, I am just so tired of going from screen to screen to screen, trying to figure out my analytics for all my social medias and trying to figure out where I can put any and all my energies to get as much reach as I can. Well, I think I've finally found the solution. Elementary analytics. That's right, elementary analytics. Now, at a single press of a button, I can see all my social media analytics from Google to Twitter to Facebook, all my important information all on one screen. All on one screen. Can you believe it? And if you really needed to, you could print charts for any possible meetings you might have. If you want to learn more about this amazing program, go to tuepodcast.net/EA for a 14-day free trial with no credit card needed. That's tuepodcast.net/EA for a 14-day free trial. Try it right now and see what it can do for you. Undiscovered Entrepreneur, episode number Sweet 16. Doesn't get much more cliche than that. Welcome to the Undiscovered Entrepreneur, the podcast where brand new entrepreneurs come to life and could quite possibly be discovered. Join me, DJ Skoob, and the rest of the Skoob believers as we help these new businesses become a reality. And now, away we go! Hello, Skoob believer, and welcome to amazing number 16, episode 16 of the Undiscovered Entrepreneur. And it's me, DJ Skoob, coming at you with whatever device you happen to be listening to. Well, today is going to be a very special episode because we're going into the medical field. That's right. We're talking to a gentleman who just started a new type of business in the medical field. And what he's doing is actually very interesting. He's actually working out plans, ahead of time plans, to help combat things like memory loss and diabetes and other long-term diseases that can really affect you, not just right now, but later on in life. If the plan is thought out correctly, will definitely extend your life longer. And that's really what it's all about, is extending your life so you live a happier, more healthier life. So getting into this an extraordinary field, we're going to travel all the way to Pakistan and talk to Husnain. Let's take a listen. Salutations, Skoob believers, and we are here again with another amazing, brand spanking new entrepreneur. Today we're here with, how do you say your name, Husnain?
Husnain.
Okay. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being on the Undiscovered Entrepreneur. Now, I have a really, really serious question to ask you first. Are you ready?
Absolutely.
Are you a Skoob believer?
I am 100%.
All right. Yeah. All right. We have our next Skoob believer. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay. So what I'd like you to do for me is just tell me a little bit about who you are, what your actual entrepreneur adventure is, and how long you've actually been doing it for.
I'm Husnain Tariq. I'm a pharmacist by profession. I graduated a couple of years ago, and I started this company 3 or 4 months ago. We started in December 2022, and so far things have been interesting.
All right. That's great. That's awesome that you're just getting started and you're in the medical field. And I'm really big about the medical field because they really pretty much predict our future and how humanity is going to go as far as being able to heal ourselves and elongate our lives, which is amazing. That's always a good thing. So tell me, what actually made you start this? I mean, you said you're in the pharmaceuticals a little bit, but what actually was the catalyst to get you started in the medical field?
Well, I think I always had interest to know more about anatomy and physiology, this kind of subjects. So it was just like, when I choose this field, it was like from heart. But trying to start this venture, it has been like a very long journey of for so many events that I even couldn't control, or there's so much personal narrative to it. I lost my father back in 2013. He was lifelong diabetic, and we lost him in 3 days. He had cardiac episode, and we just lost him. So when I did my graduation, I was very much interested to go into forensics, and I did for a while, but the agency couldn't let me work. And then I did a job as research and development analyst for a while, and then I started reading books, and I was like, I'm going to do this business. So it was like, what would be the most impactful thing that I would be giving my time to, or trying to be part of something. So in healthcare, we have like such a big gap in Pakistan. So I just wanted to do something that could take care of a disease in the long run. Because when we lost my father, we didn't we sort of anticipated that this could happen, but we didn't know what to do. So it's like a problem that could happen in like 15 to 20 years. So you don't need a solution that is that is sufficient for one day, or you don't need a good diagnosis or good medicines for one day or for 1 week. It's going to go with you for like long time. So what we do is that we try to develop a timeline of risk factors when we treat a patient. So it's like when we treat a patient, it's like we try to plan their future from 2022 to 2026 or 2028, whatever the clinical information we have. And we really try to scope well on our ambition of saving a human life. So it's a very personal narrative. It's like I really want to make an effort in trying to save a life. It could be my friend, it could be someone I know, and it could be someone we're dealing with in a professional setting.
That's amazing. A lot of the entrepreneurs that I talk to always go through something personal in their lives that kind of start them on their entrepreneur adventure, whether it be a family member that passed away like you, or just something that they read in a book, something very personal to them that say, hey, this is really what I want to do. Just a minute ago, you talked about saving lives, and that's really important in what you're doing and what we do in humanity. So can you explain to me how you're actually doing that with your company and what you're actually doing to save lives?
So yeah, that's a very wonderful question. We are an emerging startup intelligent industry. So every telehealth industry in the world offers consultation or sells medicines online, right? So what we try to preach about is that the world is not short of good diagnostic abilities or diagnostic facilities. You need to have an infrastructure that ensures you are going to be fine in a span of 10 years, 20 years, right? So what we do if we are treating a patient who is diabetic and who is only 35 years old, we try to plan their future for like next 10 years, 20 years, what worst could happen. We anticipate that, and then we draw interventions. So that's how we try to save a life. We don't treat it at the moment. We try to we treat it in the future. We like run two timelines, one from future, present to future, and other is from future to present. So when I say that we run a timeline from future to present, we are already considering the complications. So we set a bit of interventions and a bit of checkpoints at this point. Let's say 12 months from now, we are going to check this thing for you, only to make sure that you don't end up there. So let's say we are treating a 7-year-old, a kid that is coming from a family who has some lungs kind of condition, and the kid has some breathing issues. So we know for sure that the kid might have some asthma kind of thing. So we try to plan their future, like suppose treating that in 2022. Okay, what would be when they were 14-year-old? Okay, 2029. What is the worst thing that we can save them from? So it's that kind of thing. We are trying to save life, and we're trying to improve our experience of health. But it's very ambitious thing to do.
It is. It really is. That's amazing. So basically what you're doing, if I'm understanding you right, is you're goal setting for these people so they understand where they're going to be and what their body is going to be doing possibly in the next 5, 10, 20 years. That way you could set them, this is real, people. You could set them up for success so the diabetes or whatever is going on with them doesn't overtake the rest of their lives. And that's amazing. I really wish we had that when my father-in-law, he passed away because he stepped on a tack and he didn't know he was diabetic and he lost both of his legs and then his life. So I understand exactly where you're coming from. And I really wish we had that for him because things might have been different. So I'm going to transition to a little bit different question here, but thank you for all that great information. So can you tell me a little bit about your adventure and maybe some pitfalls or problems that you had getting your company started? Because I know it's only been a couple of months since it's actually been, but everybody always goes through possible pitfalls or problems. So what have you experienced in that aspect at this point?
Well, I have befriended insomnia, so that's the first to go with. So the thing is, like, what we are trying to do, we are trying to use artificial intelligence, and we are going to be a technology company, but you don't get to develop your technology all at once, once in a week, or maybe in a span of like 2 weeks to 1 month or two. No, you don't do that. But you have to find your relevance with the market. And once you try to think along those areas, it becomes very difficult for you to survive in the market. One of the most challenging things for us, because we are a technology-based company, we are to raise the round. It has been a bit challenging for us. And the other thing is that we have been offered some partnerships, and to decide whether to do it alone or whether we have to partner up with some other company to provide our services. It's a very challenging area because with the partnerships, you really try to think, okay, once my technology is completely developed, what would I do? How would I exit from that partnership? So that becomes very challenging. And we couldn't do those because, it was more like a society kind of thing. We didn't have a nice exit plans from those. And it was more like, we will be compromising on our future, both short-term future and long-term future, and both like, the product development. So, at a time when you're trying to stand and someone is offering you a shoulder, a hand, and you are just saying, no, I'm going to do it on my own, it's very challenging. And especially if you are going to avoid the funding, if you are going to be patient with the funding phase for your startup, then you have to have different things, in place or in motion to bootstrap your operations. And I think for any company who's technology based or any company who's trying to bring a new innovation, you have to get into the heart of your consumers first before you are going to get into their pockets. So you have to find your relevance, whatever the niche you're trying. So that's a bit challenging for us, but I think we are doing okay.
Yeah, it sounds like you got it. I mean, it is a challenge, but it sounds like you've already kind of worked things out to where you know how to overcome that challenge. Yeah, when it comes to partners, and if you're going to partner up with anybody or anything like that, you really kind of have to understand what you're getting into and where you're coming from. That way, if you do need to have an exit plan, you do have that put out, and everybody understands is on the same page as how that exit plans work. If you get into somebody that doesn't quite understand how it's going to work, or they're really not willing to work with you, then it's probably a good idea not to go with those people. So yeah, always trust your gut when it comes to something like that, and understand how people work and what their thinking is, and make sure that you're a good fit. Were you going to say something?
No, I'm really enjoying, what you picked.
Okay. So you've come a long way in your life so far from where you just kind of start with the pharmaceuticals up until now. But in that time, have you had any influences or people that you look up to, or people that help you move forward in your entrepreneur adventure? Can you tell me about that?
When I graduated, I really went on a long marathon of reading, really I read so many great things. And if I could talk about it for a minute, I would say, I find Henry Ford, he was really a great entrepreneur of his time. And automobile industry, the revolution that he brought are the commercial principles that he sort of like, set a bench for. Then I find Steve Jobs, his ruthlessness for, designing great products and then sticking to their vision. Gates is so great. Amazon, if we study, the early days of Amazon, or the kind of tone that they sent, at the time that, internet was very new, and the kind of experimentation for the consumers that they wanted to do, especially with only one product that they own. They specialized in only one thing. And, that was very bold, and that was very, very wise kind of thing to do at the time. Elon, his first company is really, that tells you a lot how to start a venture. Zuckerberg is so great, especially running a great company in the world when you are only 19 or 20 years old, starting a revolution. So yeah, I don't have like one, but I do have like multiple people to look up to, and I don't think that's like a very good thing for me at the moment, because obviously we're starting from scratch. But to read about these people are the kind of impact that they have left, from the previous century to the upcoming future of humanity. I mean, that's very great. It's just like, when you're having a bad day, you just look up to those people and you're like, okay, I'm gonna push more.
There you go. That's the way to. It's funny how we as entrepreneurs even have virtual mentors. These aren't people that we actually are constant contact with or not in contact with at all. I mean, if anybody could get a hold of Elon Musk, let me know. But I mean, these are people that we look up to, even though we are not physically in contact with them. And it's amazing how, like, for me and my podcasting and my entrepreneur adventure, Pat Flynn is my guy, and he's the guy I look up to learn from and to see what he's doing and get inspiration from the things that he puts out. And you have some great, I mean, those names, Steve Jobs and Henry and all of that, just amazing people to look up for. So we really appreciate that. And I think the one thing that actually strikes me as well is you're in Pakistan, right? Yeah. That's amazing to me. Even in Pakistan, they're looking up to like Jobs and Musk and things like that. And I mean, it doesn't have to be just like in one area or even one country. It's around the world where these names can be known. I mean, I'm pretty sure I could walk up to a gentleman here and say, "Hey, do you know who Elon Musk is?" There's a good percentage of people that's going to say yes. So that's awesome. That's really great. So I know you're just getting started, and like you said, just a couple months in. But when will you know you've made it? When will you get to that one point where you say, "This is exactly where I wanted to be. This is really what I was hoping for in my life"? Can you explain that to me? What that would be for you?
Okay, so what normal chance that you go to a doctor, you're only offered a consultation, that ends on maybe 1 week, 2 week follow up. So what we are trying to do, we are treating diseases of organs, heart, lungs, kidney, brain, and then diabetes mellitus. So in our portfolio, we have around 14 to 18 diseases. So what if we apply a futuristic approach and a totally innovative approach? We really have some milestones, and I think treating 10,000 people per disease of each body organ would be a great goal for us to hit. And then we will say, okay, now we have treated sufficient people. I know we are just starting out, and also to complete our technology, because our the kind of unique selling point, or the competitive advantage that we have with other companies who are doing so great in the market is that one is the basis of infrastructure, and second is on the basis of technology, and third is on the basis of pricing model. So if you have given so many consultations, like suppose 10,000 units of each disease, it means that you have scratched the surface, and the people who are trying to buy your products are trying to connect with your products, and you have a brand, and you have a name. So that time I could relax a bit. I could say, okay, we have done something, but it's a long way to go, to be honest.
It's always long. It's never a short game for any kind of entrepreneurship, no matter what you're doing. So, but once you actually get there, all that hard work pays off in the end, and you can reap the benefits at the very end. So that's great.
I think by then we will have great medicines for migraine, because I think I'm gonna get migraine for every night till we get there.
All right, that's cool. All right, so let's do a little mind thing here. If you happen to say talk to somebody or run into somebody that wants to have the same entrepreneur adventure as you, or similar, it doesn't have to be exactly the same, what steps would you tell them to take? Where would you have them look? Where would you have them go?
Wow, it's like telling myself, Mr. I would say that average time, really do it. Because we are in a very saturated market, and we have very thin competitive advantage. We don't have like quite great area for the advantage. So you have to believe in yourself, and you have to be very logical, and then you have to execute very fastly. You have to, like, you have to just try everything. Like, don't think much, just execute as fast as you can. But build on the basics. Your basics has to be very strong, and then everything will be taken care of. But yeah, try to execute as fast as you can. That's the only advice I think any entrepreneur would want to give to the other entrepreneur, because it's I think the industry is more about experimentation, and it's more about innovation. And innovation doesn't come out like trying on one thing. It's like trying tons of things, and all at once, and just trying to see a balance and equilibrium in the equation. So you have to leverage your time, because if you are not paying attention to everything, especially if you're a founder, or like if you're running the company, or if you're in a very key role, then you're going to mess up big time. And even regret would not be enough to deal with that.
All right, that's some good advice. Execute now. Don't wait. Execute now. I like that. And that actually goes right into something that I always like to say, and it's actually my tagline. And I got it from I tell this story all the time. I'm sorry. I got it from my 6-year-old son, who said, I can, I am, I will, and I'm doing it today. And
wow.
Yes. And to have that to come out of a 6-year-old was really inspirational to me. And he's 15 now, and he's in high school, and he still carries that with him every day to drive him to know he's doing it today. He's doing it now while we're thinking about it. So I always tell any entrepreneur that I come across, when we talk about executing now and executing today, I always like saying that, because that's really what it boils down to, is getting that smallest viable product, that one little thing that you can execute, and get out there and get ideas, learn from that failure, do it again, and get to that final place where we want to be in our lives. So thank you so much for saying that.
Yeah, I love the mantra that you have, that I am doing it. And I think this thing coming out of 6 years old, and, I think that's very inspiring. It inspires me.
That's good. Good. That's the idea. I hope so anyway. So you have something that's going on right now. It's just huge. And I'm sure we all, thank you for it. And we're really excited to see where this is going. But you can't keep this where you're at right now. You're in Pakistan. What are we going to do to get national expansion out of Pakistan and into the rest of the world? How are we going to accomplish that?
Well, it's like, let's consider Pakistan as our primary arena, right? So first we have to perform where we are, and we have to perform at the national level, and we have mass market for each number of diseases, like the diseases that I just mentioned. Diabetes, every third person here has diabetes, every second person has hypertension, every third or fourth person has some heart disease, and people here are there are 2 million population who has epilepsy. So if I'm saying that we can reverse your disease, or we can prevent you from the disease, or we can save you in the future, it's big ambitious goal. First, we have to try it on a national level. We have to, locally, we have to try it, and we have to treat number of patients for these diseases. So once we have that product market fit in a global sector, in a limited global sector, we come in a UDC, underdeveloped country, and once we really have proven it that, okay, this thing can work, and we really sync well with technology, and our technology is doing great, then we can go into the international markets. But there's a limiting factor, like HIPAA is very, the markets where HIPAA is operational, you can get there. In England, NHS is doing so great. Canada healthcare is so wonderful. Gulf countries have their own kind of infrastructure. So how a company from here, Pakistan, can enter there? Just like you told me that your father, when you lost him, you wish that you had this kind of structure. Mm-hmm. So what if we are compete in those markets? We are going to enter in those markets on the merit of our solution, or only merit of our proposed thesis, the solution that we have. And with the approach that we are trying with the infrastructure, technology here, I'm very confident that one day we could make it to them. Well, and also one thing, it's very, especially in healthcare, because I know this industry very well. In healthcare, you cannot penetrate into an elite international country. There are so many regulations and all these requirements. So what if you could provide that qualitative service, our value-added service? That way, it would be much easier to with the community of a totally different country, like Americans just here. What if we could develop a time? What if are diagnosed there, and you have your own pharmacist there, you have your own the cardiologist or whoever you are consulting. But what if we could still develop a timeline of your diseases or your clinical information totally from a different place? We would still be delivering you a great value, and we could charge you for that. Like we can really come up with a price model, and we can deliver a value on a commercial scale for masses to come. Whoever is diagnosed with the diabetes, regardless of the border or the territory or the time zone that they share. So that way, if we work on a problem and your solution is 100% great, then you can really be anywhere. So that is how I think in a span of 2 years, 3 years, we are like going to grow those markets, and I'm very confident. I'm going to make sure that we get there.
That's great. I do have a lot of international listeners. So anybody that's looking to get into the market, I want to make sure you listen to that a couple of times so you understand quite the possibility of how to actually accomplish what you're trying to accomplish. So thank you for that explanation. I really appreciate that.
Can I add one thing? I was just reading a book, it just says this is very important, that if you have an electronic distribution medium for your product or service, then you are operating globally to whoever is consuming your content. And if you put something on the internet, it's like for everyone, right? So that way, we could really, it's easy for us to enter into those markets or to relate with that audience of any time zone or of any territory if your solution is really great. Thank you very much for letting me say.
Yeah, for sure. That's all great information. I want to make sure everybody kind of gets as much as they can out of this in case they want to do something like that. So that's awesome. So here's one of my favorite questions I like to ask, and I kind of stole this one, so sorry, everybody. What is the one question you wish I would have asked you, but I didn't? There's always one that I miss. So what's the one question you wish I would have asked you?
Does time travel exist?
Does time travel exist? That's a whole nother podcast, my friend. You might have to think of something else.
Well, I'm trying to give you that, I want to be on your next podcast as well, because I love it. You have great energy. Yeah.
So is there anything you can think of that you hope, or, something that you wanted to answer, or a question that I didn't ask you, but you'd like to answer?
Not at the moment. I don't think I have. Not at the moment.
Okay,
but thank you so much for it.
Yeah, well, I just want to give you that opportunity. All right, so what I'd like to do now is give you an opportunity to kind of talk about your business. Tell us how we reach you. If we have any questions about what you're doing, this is your time to shine. Okay, so I'm going to give you a couple minutes. Okay, ready, set, go.
Okay, so our company name is Sapiensin, Sapiensin. So we have a website with the same name, and we have a Twitter page with the same name, and we are on the LinkedIn with the same name. So if you are suffering from any disease of heart, lungs, kidney, or brain, epilepsy, or Alzheimer, and if you would like us to save your future, or to plan the next 20 or 25 years of your life, we would love to deliver our services to the same website, or you can find us on Twitter or LinkedIn.
Okay, what's your Twitter? I can't talk today. What's your Twitter handle in case anybody wants to get a hold of you?
It's Sapiens1.
Okay, and we're going to have that in the show notes. All his contact information, I will definitely have the show notes. And I'm going to ask you one more quick question, and this is definitely one of my favorite ones. In 6 months, where do you see yourself in your company? I'm going to follow up with you in 6 months and see if you've reached these goals. So what are your goals for the next 6 months for you and your company?
Okay, this is very confrontational, I think, but I love it. We would love to develop our technology. We are to run a couple of clinics, and with the same team, we are going to provide online consultations. C, we are going to run community awareness programs. G, whenever you will look us up, you will see that our clinics are different, right? All the time, a doctor, pharmacist, and nutritionist sees one patient under one single fees, and then the patient goes to a totally different tab that where you back with the material that is developed for the disease. It could be about disease, it could be about risk factors, it could be about how to use your medicines. So we're like operating like an Apple store. where you go and you deal with the future. And the fourth, that we are trying to, we're going to develop the content for our online consumers. And we are going to do video diaries. We are going to do consumer testimonials, and we are going to do disease of the week or the case study of the week. Suppose if we treat a very challenging patient, obviously with their content or anonymously, we are going to share their clinical information just to showcase a case that we reverse this kind of thing, or we do this kind of interventions. So we're going to be very much in the public light as long as we with our funding. But still, like I told you, and like I promised you, and like I told you, that it was very challenging. It has been very challenging. We are going to be very relevant with the market. So let's catch up on this course.
That's right. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and follow up with you in 6 months and see if we've reached those goals. Is that okay with you?
100%. And if I get more meetings of this kind of, if I complain any this kind of thing, you have to be okay with that as well. Absolutely. I look forward to meeting you in 6 months.
All right. That's great. All right. Thank you, everybody. That was a great show. And stay tuned for the follow-up. Thank you, Husnain, very much. It was just amazing to be able to talk with you and listen to what you got going. And we're going to talk to you in 6 months,
Absolutely.
Okay?
Thank you very much for this great opportunity. I love your energy, and I'm a Skoob believer. I love what your kid, the mantra that your kid has. Thank you very much for having me on the show.
Oh, all right. Absolutely. All right. Thank you, Skoob believer. Have a great day. All right, Skoob believer, that was Husnain. Hey, that was a very amazing interview to be able to talk with somebody all the way in Pakistan. That was just exciting. One thing that really stuck out for me is he really had a great idea to plan your life goals and to figure out a way to extend your life, not just 3 or 5 year goals, but 20, 10, 30 years out to make sure that your health stays good. And if you have a health precondition, they use just an amazing AI program to be able to look into the future and see what it might look like if you are able to follow the steps that he's given you and help extend your life even longer. I really think that's amazing, and being able to do something like that is really great for humanity. Also, it was amazing to me that even though Husnain was in Pakistan, he still looks up to a lot of the same type of people that I do, or a lot of other people do, around the world. Like I said, if you were to ask anybody anywhere, like, do you know who Henry Ford is, or do you know who Elon Musk is? A good chance that the people are going to know who that actually is, even in Pakistan or anywhere else. So if anybody wants to actually get a hold of Husnain and ask him any questions or want to know what he's all about, look into the show notes and find his contact information at tuepodcast.net/episode 16. All right, and now a few side notes I'm going to go ahead and go over with here for just a second. We are tallying up the votes for the language that I'm going to be speaking, and we're going to see which language that y'all chose for me to start learning. And from here on out, either starting in the next episode or the one after that, I'm actually going to have recordings at the end of me actually doing the learning. So you'll hear me start to learn basic languages, or the basic language that you chose for me, and see how that turns out. I'm really excited to be able to learn something new. Also, I'm going to give you another little update on my adventure in putting together a speaking engagement for Chris Brogan. It looks like the season's starting to thin out now as far as winter's going, and we're starting to get into spring, and things are starting to open up again. So I'm going to be looking into the next Chamber of Commerce meeting so I could talk to some of the local places. And I'm still trying to get together with BNI and try to get to one of their meetings as well, too. Unfortunately, a lot of their meetings are right in the middle of my work day between the two jobs. I might actually have to take some time off so I can actually do that. So I'm going to go ahead and arrange that, and we're going to see what that comes out to be. I'm still working on really hard on this, and I really want this to work out. And I'm also going to make a special announcement right here. A while back, there was a little girl at the restaurant that I work at getting basted, and she drew a picture for me. If anybody wants to see this picture, I'm going to be posting it on my Instagram. And my Instagram, I think this is the first time I've actually even talked about my Instagram. So my Instagram is UE Podcast 2021, if you want to check that out. And I'm going to post that picture on there so you all can see what it is. And I'm going to do this. Hi, Penelope. It's Scooby-Doo. I hope you remember me from the restaurant. Thank you so much for the picture. I still have it with me right here next to me, and I always carry it with me because it's such a great picture. Thank you so much for drawing it for me, and you keep drawing and being an artist because I see some great things happening for you later on in life. So keep doing what you're doing and never stop drawing. Thank you so much, Penelope. All right, now if anybody wants to get a hold of me, please contact me on my Twitter. That's at DJ Skoob. That's SKOOB 2021. And if anybody wants to get a hold of me directly, you can get me there, or you can email me at uepodcast2021@gmail.com. If you want to see any of the resources that I have to offer, you can go to my website, which is tuepodcast.net. Go to my resources page, and there you will find everything that I've read, well, just about everything I've read, and all the resources for programs that I use to keep my entrepreneurial adventure going. And I'm still looking for reviews for my podcast in Spotify or on iTunes, anywhere like that. If you could just leave me a review, 5 stars, any of that stuff that's going on, I would really super appreciate it. And hopefully the next episode or two, you're going to start hearing me speak some different language. So anyway, thank you so much, Skoob Believers, for having me in your ear for this long a time. And I will see you on the next episode. You'll have a great evening. Thank you. Hello there, DJ Skoob here, and I just want to personally say thank you for listening to my program. I really hope you learned something. Tune in 2 weeks to listen to another brand new entrepreneur. And remember, I can, I am, I will, and I'm doing it today. As a worker of 2 full-time jobs, running a podcast and coaching, every minute counts in my day-to-day. It's hard to be consistent in any of my social medias. And at this point, I cannot hire a social media manager. Pinnacle AI to the rescue! I've been using Pinnacle AI for a couple of weeks now. I'm seeing big improvements in my outreach and consistency in all my social medias. Do you want to save time and increase your productivity too? Go to tuepodcast.net/AI for more information. Save yourself time and grow your brand. Try it now and see what it can do for you.